It's just the way it is. And I don't see that changing anytime soon. But he was very lively in his discussion about, you're a Jew now. As long as you accept the commandments, you keep the Sabbath, you do what the Torah tells you, you're a Jew. Mm-hmm. But yet I've had to go through numerous rivers to get to where I'm supposed to be at. But there is hope out there. There is hope for Judaism and for people that are leaving Christianity. There are some good Jewish people out there that tell you a lot of this is nonsense.
I also teach that the conversion itself is not what makes you not Jewish. I don't like using that word in this instance, but makes you in the covenant. Entering the covenant is when you decide to follow God and keep his law. Now that clearly happens even before people convert. Okay, that is how Israel entered the covenant, and this is how we enter the covenant nowadays. Conversion is rabbinic.
Exactly.
But we have to keep the rabbinic. Conversions really used to take a day or two. Right when someone decided that they wanted to keep Torah, they just went to a synagogue, and by the end of the week, if they had to be circumcised or whatever, they were in the Jewish people as well. So it was a two-step process that was done together. I'm not for someone saying that this is all you need to do, because, God tells us to obey the instructions of the court. The court had to set up checks and balances for who we're going to accept as a member of our nation. When Israel and the mixed multitude accepted Torah on Mount Sinai, they really weren't a nation with land and borders. Being that Israelites have to keep certain laws or they're put to death, how are you going to know who accepted that law and who did it, and thus is able to be adjudicated, if you don't have a public statement made, i.e. some sort of process that the person went through saying, yes, I am now officially a citizen of this nation? There has to be checks and balances, and this is why the court developed the process. But those checks and balances have nothing to do with your relationship with God. That happens the day that you choose to follow God and keep his commandments in your heart. But the Jewish people don't know your heart, but God does. So the Jewish people, they need a program to make you illustrate that commitment to them. So this is why it's very important. People misuse it, and they make people wait a year, 2 years, if that's even possible. Right? According to Jewish law, it's right away. When a Gentile came to Hillel to convert, to Hillel, the greatest mind of that generation, what did he do? He converted him immediately. Even though he came with the wrong intentions, he converted him immediately, and then he taught him. If that doesn't show you how conversions were done, so this is why, if you came to the decision to follow God and keep Torah, that's right when your conversion should take place. So it's really part of the same process. Maybe he was upset at the mistreatment that he saw going on. But if he was a rabbi to say that you don't need to convert, that only works when you're not in the land, because you can't run a country like that. Even in America, we have a process of citizenship. And according to rabbinic Judaism, it really should be almost immediate. But the simple fact that somebody could be born Jewish means that actually being Jewish or halakhically Jewish doesn't mean anything if you don't have that relationship with God. So there's people who are in the covenant with God who are not Jewish, and there's people who are born Jewish who are Jewish and don't have a relationship with God or a covenant with God.
Yeah, I agree with you. There was a time a few years ago, I was waiting for Minyan, and there was a guy came in, and he wanted to say Kaddish for his father, and he was screaming and yelling, Rabbi, let's start the Minyan already. Let's start praying. Let's daven. He's like, well, we need one more guy. We're waiting. There's someone else coming. He's, what do you mean? And he counts, and they're like, and he goes, no, I see 10 people. Let's go. What are you talking about? So someone walked up to him and said, I'm sitting there, and technically I would be the 10th guy. And someone said to him, someone said to him, telling my business all over the place. He said, he doesn't count. He's a goy. And the guy, he walks up to me, hugs me, and said, don't ever listen to anyone who says that you're not a Jew, that you don't count. That he said that the moment I walked through those doors of the synagogue and decided that Hashem was the creator of the universe and Torah was emes, that was the day of my conversion. And let me tell you something. I went home and I broke down and I cried. I just never felt so welcoming and so warm. He was one of the nicest men I ever met, and that was probably the only heartwarming moment I ever had in that show. Most of the time, people are doing the opposite to me. So, I agree with that statement. I think God, Hashem knows what's in your heart. I think the moment that you decide Torah is emes, Torah is truth, I think that's it. Circumcision of the heart. That's what I go by. I like it. I like it as well. But you're also right, though. You just can't let any Tom, Dick, and Harry, and you have to be a member of the shul as well, and a member of the community. So it's a two-part process.
Right, when you got home, your wallet was missing, right?
I went home and the guy was Persian. That might be true.
He gave you the coronavirus right at that instance.
Oh,
That's
yeah.